What's going on there, workforce? And we do have official patch notes. Now these have been launched. There's a fair number of question marks in there this time because they're worried about spoiling the story and everything, but they are up and we have a lot more information than we had at either of the two live letters, and Brian has actually gone over this in a very long post that went up yesterday morning. Now this went up kind of on time, as quickly as he could make it from when those got talked about and got released. And I talked about them all day on stream yesterday, but for those of you that weren't able to attend the stream, aren't willing to kind of scroll through the patch notes because it is a lot to read, and don't want to watch that full-length version and just get what is the most important, I'm going to go ahead and dive in right now.
Reminding me of what I have if I fall tonight.
Now this is the 4.3 notes, and so this is Under the Moonlight is the name of the patch. Now we already know that the Ultimate Fight is going to be released at 4.31, expected about 2 weeks after the patch drops on this Tuesday. That is May 22nd, and on the Heaven on High and the Hildebrand are going to be at 4.35, and the second piece of the Eureka, shenanigans that is going to release at 4.36. Now I'm going to go in order following along the patch notes, but I'm only going to hit on the things that I deem the most important. Now this being an odd numbered patch, we know we're going to get main story, we know we're going to get one dungeon, we know we're going to get one trial, which they won't name because of story, and we know that we're going to get one 24-man raid, Return to Ivalice. So with that, we can skip over talking about the 7 new main story quests, we can skip over any side quests that are added, we can skip over, all of this is going to be added, and we can jump right into the fact that this is finally the patch where, just like last expansion, we get our Namazu beast tribes, which is going to be our crafter beast tribes. We expected this expansion to get one. The difference is this time is also going to cater to gatherers. This is going to be in Azim Steppe, and if you haven't done anything in Azim Steppe, it does have some required quests. You can click over on the patch notes, you can go into your logs and you can see your quest. There's a little completed button up in the corner, and you can scroll through and make sure that you've done everything necessary if you're having trouble getting this unlocked. They'll get their own aetheryte, so you'll have to fly there kind of at first or whatever, but there is an aetheryte for you to teleport to long term, and this is going to be so that you can level your gatherers and crafters from level 60 to level 70. Now alongside that, there's going to be some expected changes in this zone, like all the gathering nodes in this zone are going to be reduced to 60. That makes sense. Those fishing nodes are going to get dropped to 60, and there's some other little changes we'll go over in just a bit that makes sense. Now the Doman Enclave is being reconstructed, and this time this reconstruction effort is not just a story thing, it needs your help. And so what they're going to do is they're going to set up this kind of donation screen. You're going to be able to kind of donate to it, and you're going to get rewarded for that. You're going to get basically slightly more than what they would kind of expect from vendor. I don't know what the word slightly means, but there's going to be kind of a gratuity that's given to you for donating to the reconstruction effort. Treasure hunts are going to go ahead and get some adjustments to the rewards, so I'm sure they're just trying to keep Uznair and the hidden canals of Uznair, a little bit relevant, because those treasure maps have dropped substantially in price, so people are obviously not engaging with them. If you haven't gone and done them and done either the maps for this expansion or the maps within the maps, you should definitely go do that. Grand Free Companies, your Grand Companies are going to be getting a little bit of adjustments. This is not unexpected. Your squadrons are going to get some extra command missions added. They're finally going to be able to do Arm Veil, Brave Fox, Longstop Hard, Saw 'em All. Expect them to continue slowly increasing. By the time we're level 90, they should be able to do, a little bit higher level than what they are now. Your Glamour Dresser and Armoire are added to the Grand Company Barracks. So the Grand Company Barracks across the board is becoming a little bit more of a destination. This is because from now they are finally making it to where you can glamour those followers, your squadron guys. And if you haven't gotten into squadron guys, it is what allows you to go from second lieutenant to first lieutenant, so you should be going ahead and doing that. They're allowing that gear to be dyed, they're allowing you to manipulate them, and they're just basically encouraging you to spend more time in that area. Now there are going to be some new craftable items. Obviously we're having new crafting. It's the crafting kind of patch, so there's going to be new crafting. That includes the new housing items. We're getting a bunch of new housing items based on the design competition that'll go along with the new message boards, which are basically the ability to check in on other people's houses and leave a message. I hope they'll tie in something like a challenge log to encourage people to get out in those zones and be social, but there's nothing confirmed about that yet. There's going to be your subaquatic voyages. If you haven't done the submarines, basically this expansion's version of previous expansions, airships, you are now allowed to have 3 of them instead of 2, and the maximum rank has gone to 20 to 30, and of course with that there's been new destinations, new missions, new items, all of that added to expand on that system. Now housing is next. We are going to have the ability to have Namazu in your house. I can't imagine that would make the house smell well. And they're going to have junk monitors, armor vendors, stewards, and all of that, along with, of course, the new items I just discussed, and those books that you're going to be able to kind of leave messages in, and so on. Now, on the note of housing, we do have aquariums, and aquariums are being increased from having 1 to having 4 in your private chamber, 6 in your cottage, 8 in a house, and 10 in a mansion. Now, they said they are already having issues with this, so in the very same patch it released, it is the only item in the known issues box. So they are saying that at the time of drop, they are considering this as the numbers they're targeting, but that they are unfortunately going to have to restrict everybody to the 4 that can go in a private chamber, no matter the size house, for now, but they are working on it and appreciate your patience. The intent is to get that fixed as quickly as possible. They don't even want to push it to a later patch. And obviously, based on that, with more aquariums and with now there being new kind of gathering missions and with having a fishing zone drop from, I think it's about 65 to level 60, there's going to be kind of some new fish and things added. And so there's going to be new quest fish and stuff for turning in. So naturally, the aquariums are going to have new fish added to that. There's some new flowers for the flower pots. There's a bunch of just new cosmetics this patch, not expected. Now, in your system config, I'm sure somebody out there wanted this. You are going to be able to enable city-state background music in the residential area. The Manderville Golden Saucer. Triple Triad cards added. That makes sense for your new kind of content. The scoring for the fashion port's been adjusted to make it easier. It was already very easy to get that base amount, and decently easy if you go out and use Reddit for the support to get the big amount, but they're just making that a little easier, which, you know, they're obviously trying to get us back into earning MGP. They added that. They're going to be adding that new kind of basketball goal to shoot in. Chocobo racing can be done via the duty finder. If you do it in a party, you know, it's going to drop you to the lowest ranked chocobo within your party group, and you're going to be obviously opting out of some rewards and things like that. They're making some adjustments to the rating system. If you haven't gotten involved in that, it won't make a difference to you, but you can now do all of this through the Duty Finder. Lords of Verminion being added through the Duty Finder. And in the challenge log, guys, note that Lords of Verminion is getting some adjustments in that it drops a lot more MGP now. So it's not been a system that I'm horribly engaged with and I love a whole lot, but it might be worth doing if you need a little MGP because the rewards for it are a little bit ridiculous. Now, for any of you guys doing performance actions, these are the, the instruments, playing in game, and they're going to be adding sounds for flute, oboe, clarinet, fife, and panpipes. They're increasing the sound quality for harp, piano, lute, fiddle, and they're allowing these actions to now also be played in the Golden Saucer, the Ivory Chapel, and the Grand Company Barracks. It basically got a big expanded keyboard. It's supposed to be removing latency even more, so they're constantly expanding the system to see what you guys can do with it. Hopefully that's good news for somebody doing that. Now, the challenge log got a lot of boosts, so you are going to see Eureka things in there now. It is a pretty basic translation, so it looks like a lot of items at first, but it's a pretty basic Forbidden Lightning 1, defeat 30 ice or lightning elements. They don't want you doing the NM train. Get out there and kill 30 of those aspected. Then Lightning 2, kill 60. Then Fire Earth, kill 30, kill 60. Water or Wind, kill 30, kill 60. So you're catching the pattern here. Play Verminion one time, 5,000 MGP. Play 5 times, not win, play 5 times. That's 12,000 MGP, so you're getting a lot there. That's the big changes to the challenge log. Always good to see them adding on to that. I would love to see them add something dealing with all the new housing. Go out there, interact with people's houses. Maybe if you own a house, do 5 in your own ward and 10 outside of your own ward. You encourage people to really get out there and explore what other people are spending their time and money on. The following adjustments have been made to Wondrous Trails. We're now going to be able to include areas like Omega Deltascape. We're going to be getting Chloe's Silver Certificate and Commendation have been changed. Obviously, this is all just updating it to keep it more in line with comments. There's been some new emotes added, some new hairstyles added. For example, one of the emotes is instead of there being /wink, that's now actually changed to /wink right. We're only going to be winking that right eye, and we're going to be able to later wink that left eye with /left wink, I think it is. They go over it in the patch notes. Battle actions. A lot of these have been changed. So I'm just going to show these right here. And you're going to see the 8 changes that they made to Dark Knight. I don't currently have my Dark Knight leveled, but I have heard nothing all day on stream about how incredibly awesome this is. That it doesn't necessarily make Dark Knight the new powerhouse, but it does definitely bring them in line with the other current tanks. That's been the speculation. Once again, we'll just have to see how it plays out. Monk, we're going to go ahead and show Monk and Samurai right here. And then Rogue Ninja, Black Mage. I am excited that the Black Mage are going to get a little more mobile in that they're reducing that already kind of half-second time to transfer over. And so your Ninja, your Black Mage, and your Scholar. And then let's move over to Astrologion. Last of all, sorry buddy. And that's really it for them. Arcanist, Summer, Scholar pets are going to be getting a little bit of a change. I'll go ahead and kind of leave that under those Astrologians there. And on to that new content, that new Duty Finder content. So the new dungeon is Swallow's Compass. You're going to need an eye level of 330 to get in. It's obviously going to be 4 people, level 70. There's going to be loot. It's going to have a quest line starting in Ruby C. All makes sense. New trials. We don't know what this is because it's tied behind the story, so everything's question marks. You're going to need eye level 350. And they're going to be starting that quest in Kugane. Now, they are going to be adding Echo to Jade Stoa. That makes sense that it would be time to go ahead and make that fight a little easier for the general population to kind of push through. If they're wiping, don't quit. Stick with it. You're going to start getting that bonus, you know, for not being good enough to clear it, that we're going to kind of just help push you over and keep people relatively current. The new Alliance Raid, Ridorana Lighthouse. This is obviously the Final Fantasy's tactics. You know, this is part 2 of 3. So expect this at 4.1, 4.3, and most likely 4.5. You know, knowing this expansion will probably go to 4.6, maybe 4.7. And this is going to be eye level 335 or above. It does have a time limit that's a little longer. Expect it to be just like every other Alliance raid. Now with this does mean we're getting our Alliance raid roulette back because we finally have enough Alliance raids that everybody can do. Now one of the big changes dealing with this, especially if you talk about Alliance raids where the group can get really spread out, is that when somebody pulls a boss fight and it starts that 15-second countdown, it is now going to be popping up a dialog box that says, would you like to immediately move to the sealed area? If you don't click anything and the timer runs out, it will automatically teleport you to that area. And so this is going to be pushing people in there, and it's going to be dropping the sealed area for Alliance raids from 30 seconds to 15 seconds, so relatively quickly it's going to put you in there, but it doesn't give you any temporary immunity. So if you teleport in and the fight has already started, and there's damage going out, just know it could kill you. But this is going to obviously help people who maybe watched a previous cutscene, were checking out loot, they got a piece of loot, and they're like, oh my gosh, is this really better? And they're busy dealing with that, and everybody else is already pulling the next boss. Well, you can automatically teleport straight through that. So I think that's a good change. Palace of the Dead, obviously starting to get changes. They're making it a little easier to get weapons. They're starting to prep those changes. Expect this to continue going through small iterations as they prepare for that second deep dungeon to release. Now, Eureka is something that we've talked a lot about needing quality of life changes. The ones that are already ready to go live is the location of Magia Melters will now be displayed on the map and minimap. The player list can now be sorted by expedition length and elemental level. The level thing, I think, is absolutely pivotal. The option to prioritize players looking for parties in the player list has been added, and so this kind of tells you who has a lot of time remaining, what level are they, who's looking for a party, you know, kind of just helping people find that group. So this is a big step in the right direction without doing any major structural changes to the way that they have this set up. Omega Sigmascape has its weekly lockout on loot removed with the exception of version 4. Makes sense. So 3 and below is going to have that removed. And when you join a raid, which is going to cause you to forfeit your weekly rewards, it is now going to be popping up a dialog box asking. They are going to go ahead and across the board be moving Alliance raids to greed only. I'm not sure whether or not I agree with this decision to let... I would understand if they did like tanks and healers to encourage people to play those classes even after they gear them out, or whatever the adventurer need is, but to just across the board say play whatever you want and then take somebody else's loot, I'm not sure I agree with that, but it is what's happening. So the Raid Finder is now going to obviously have the new kind of things added to it. Jade Stow Extreme has been moved from the regular duty section move to the regular duty section of the duty finder. So as the eye level increases, we obviously, as you will see the pattern of seeing what was the hardest moving to normal, and now the new hardest moving into place. So across the board, this patch is relatively what I would expect for a 0.3 of an expansion. That's not a bad thing. There's a lot of fantastic things we're getting here. It's a loaded patch, and the fact that we're getting something at 4.31 and then 4.35 and then 4.36 and then we'll be in 4.4. I mean, this is a constant stream of content. It's just not surprising content. So the Duty Roulette normal raids has been added. This is not going to be Coil, so this is going to be Alexander and Omega. So the big thing here is that the raid thing is going to have 15 tomes of Mendacity, 60 of Creation, and 80 of Poetics. That is a lot of tomes going out. The Duty Roulette Trials is going to add the new trial into it. The Duty Roulette Mentor is going to add the 3 new places into it. So the new trial, we don't know the name, the Swallow's Compass and the Raid Ridorana Lighthouse. And the Mentor eye level is going to jump from 325 to 335. That's not a hard jump with crafting items alone. If you guys were all with me on stream yesterday, I basically purchased my way nearly to this on my warrior fresh at Ding, and it only cost me like I think 2 or 3 million gil. I know that's a lot of gil, but if you're a mentor, you obviously have played a fair bit. That shouldn't be an unreachable goal. The main scenario has gotten a huge adjustment. Instead of just getting 200 Poetics, you are now going to get 300 Poetics, 100 Creation, and 50 Mendacity. And I hope this is a good sign that when 4.4 rolls out, that moves to being 300 Poetics, 100 Mendacity, and 50 of the new thing, but we'll just have to see. The drop rates of treasure coffers have been adjusted in Scala, Hell's Lid, Fractal Continuum Hard. I'm sure they're just trying to keep that content exciting as it becomes a little more standard. And we move into PvP. There's a handful of PvP changes, so let's talk about Black Mage, Summoner, Red Mage right here. And once you've read those, let's do our Paladin, Warrior, Ninja. And then Samurai, Black Mage, Red Mage. That's a solid group. Bard, White Mage, Scholar. And Astrologion. Sorry, once again, you're getting stuck at the end here. And PvP actions have been removed. This is Sleep, Tribind, and Flunge. This is because they're kind of moving in a new direction. They're once again trying to simplify PvP even further. So they're just going to remove those, and then they're going to put something kind of in its place. I don't think it's shocking that they're trying to make this really palatable, almost arcade-like combat. I think it's a good move for them because people obviously aren't engaging with the complexity now. They've made a handful of other balances. They're making a handful of things. The big one here is that the frontline campaign is going to be moving to something that changes daily. So you're now going to have Borderlands Ruins, Fields of Glory, or Seal Rock, and it will be kind of rotating. We don't know if that's a random rotation or if that's an in-order rotation. If it's an in-order rotation, a rotation of 3, if you play on the same night every night, obviously 3 doesn't evenly multiply into 7, so you're going to get something different each, Friday night you play or whatever. But if it's random, theoretically that works out the same way. It'll change at 8 a.m. PDT. We'll just have to see kind of what that turns out to be. Now with Feast, they are actually making it possible to spectate. They're, making some adjustments. They're going to make the changes that they've already talked about, where players will now return to the team's starting point when KO'd. Adrenaline supply HP increased. Wolf's Heart HP increased. Just all these little balances. So if you're big into PvP, I encourage you to scroll down to that section, take a look, see what it affects. Honestly, it is what it is. It's not negotiable, so hopefully you like it as it rolls out. It just kind of is what it is. They're trying to make that more palatable content and make it something that a larger percentage of the population will engage with, and I think that's a good thing. They've added a bunch of new items. So we've got a bunch of the new, we've got the new gear images out there. We've got some new recipes that are coming in, which makes sense with this being the Gatherer Crafter kind of patch. We are going to see that the Golden Saucer items are no longer bound to gender, so you are going to be able to kind of put, the men in the female stuff and the females in the men's stuff, whatever you know, whatever your fancy is. And the craftsmanship log, with this being the Gather one, they're taking a look at that. Now at the bottom, when you get to that kind of high level stuff that doesn't have, you know, you kind of wonder, ooh, can I craft this yet? It's actually going to have a craftsmanship recommended. So you can check your stats and see what are the chances that if I put the materials at risk for this, that I'm actually able to successfully craft that. Quick synthesis success rates have been increased. So on the other side of that, they've made that a little easier for people that want to power level it the AFK way. And you're going to see some new gathering points added. You're going to see some new, you know, new fish added. You're going to see a whole lot just buffing that system. And if you haven't been involved in that system in a while, you may not notice that it's new and different. It may just feel good. You don't quite know why. And that's because they've taken a lot of attention to detail with this being the crafting and gatherer patch. I was bummed in how little they talked about it in the live letters, but it seems like the patch notes absolutely do say, you know what, they didn't talk about it much, but it is a big piece of this patch. The custom deliveries, we've got some custom deliveries. There is going to be a total of 12 per week, but only 6 per client. I think if I remember right, there's 3 clients currently live in the game. So that means you're going to have to pick your 2 if you're trying to max those. New mounts added. Obviously, this is going to be the new kind of dog for this expansion. It does look lunar, if that matters to you guys. New Chocobo barding, and new minions. Now, there's going to be new achievements and titles, obviously, to go with the new content. There's going to be new achievements to go with the content. There's going to be the ability in your in-rooms. If you've ever gone into your in-room to adjust glamour, you've been frustrated with how little you can do in there. Now you can synthesize, you can repair, you can dye, you can cast glamour, materia assimilating, and retrieve materia. So you can really kind of maintain yourself in that little in-room. And I appreciate that because I've already had those error things spit back at me as recently as today. Crossworld linkshells. This is a big one, especially when with people who are used to partying through Party Finder. You can now just invite people straight out of that. It's really what it needs to be. So hopefully people enjoy kind of setting those up. It's up to 64 players. Hopefully they're kind of going to increase that length as they get used to kind of how stable that is. Because I'm sure people will run into 64 pretty quick when you start to talk about big communities that are previously online starting to jump in. People who play with streamers or YouTubers or play with forum buddies or, you know, have a whole group of Black Mages or whatever that case may be. 64 would be shockingly quick to fill. Your glamour dresser is going to get like a slight facelift. It's going to get a little easier to interact with. That's a good thing. You're going to be able to just apply the glamour straight out of it. So I think they're just making things, a lot of it is stuff that honestly will probably feel very natural. It's stuff that you've probably already said, I right-clicked on it, why can't I do that? And so it's probably just them kind of playing catch-up. It's a new system, and they're getting this kind of built. You can link a class to a glamour plate and things like that. All these things that people were already kind of figuring out with macros and such. They're just making it a little bit easier. People have probably got, like I said, already been right-clicking on that class saying, I expect this to have a glamour plate thing in that list, and it doesn't. Now it does. So I think we're going to have things like, you know, the help window is going to tell you if an item can be stored in an armoire. There's going to be all these little icons. The game is just getting easier. Now, there's going to be new items obtainable by your retainers, kind of continuing on that note of bringing things up to date. So you're going to have your mining, your botany, and your fishing, obviously able to bring in a lot of this new stuff. And your duty recorder is now no longer going to be Jadestow Extreme, but is now going to be Sigmascape version 4. So I think it's a bummer that they dropped Jadestow. I was hoping they would kind of be increasing that list rather than laterally moving that list. But, you know, is what it is. And players recruiting members from an alliance custom match can now choose which alliance the team participates in, so I guess that's a good thing. And then little things like on your mini map, you know how we're all dots right now? Well, now things that are non-humanoid, like your chocobo or the pets and things like that, they're gonna have a slightly different icon. Looks like a little like Triforce, like little, I don't know, like a little Mickey Mouse, little whatever. I don't know, it looks like something you'd shoot down in like Galaga. And so that'll kind of help you tell exactly where people are without really thinking twice about it. This whole patch is a standard patch with a lot of quality of life adjustments that you probably won't notice. You'll just feel better and you won't know why. So I think that there's a lot of good things here. And then there's that, the emote wink has been changed to wink right. We do have the new colorblind mode. If you didn't see that in the live letter when they showed it off, it's awesome. For those of you that are colorblind, I encourage you to dive into that. It's really cool, the technology they've put in here, and we are getting close to the end here. They've added some new system config stuff. So once again, as I usually say, if you're really worried about something, scroll through the patch notes, get down to this. The link is in the description below. See if that's what matters to you. Odds are people who already had a pain point, just go look for that. If it's there, it's there. If not, keep posting on the forums. They're really good about adding a little bit of this stuff every single patch. So this is where they've added a whole bunch of new text commands. A lot of this has to do with CW link shell, crossworld link shell. You know, we're getting a handful of things like /ponder to lose yourself in thought, /left wink, you know, so that you can wink with your left eye. You know, so we've got a fair amount there. Some new placeholders have been added for the feast, E1, E2, E3, E4, and this is going to display the name of those people in the party list. Some new music has been added. You're going to have new scrolls and things like that. I assume that's all just going to be the movement, the music from the new, you know, the new trial, the new raid. That all makes sense to me that would come out. Transfer of character save data from PS3 to PS4 is no longer available. So we are seeing that PS3 data, you know, that final, sorry PS3, you gotta go. So we're seeing that kind of happen. And the only known issues is, like I said, the aquarium. So it's a pretty light list here. So hopefully that was a nice, fast rundown. There is a lot of detail in this patch. It is a huge patch. There is a lot going on here. If you need the full version, if you want to kind of dive in on that and get a read through, some more thoughts, more opinions, Brian has a version that is way longer and way more detailed. Link in the description below. I encourage you to go watch that if you'd like to read them for yourself. As I said, the patch notes will be in the link in the description below. So I just wanted to run through this for people that are maybe in the car, maybe don't have time to read it, to just go over what I thought was important to me. Honestly, just dive in on Tuesday morning. Keep in mind that this is one of those patches that gets a 24-hour offline cycle. So we are not playing Monday. So if you need to do anything to prep for things, if you have not cleared Byakko and you need to go clear that and just get all this stuff lined up and be ready and be caught up on story, you need to do that by Sunday, because Monday it's going to go down. I think it's like 3 a.m. PDT. But, you know, if you're really going to be pushing up against the wire, look up that time. I encourage you to, you know, get that done Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Be ready so that patch day, if you want to play, you can. Especially with the new Beast Tribe. The new mount is incredible. So if you want to go ahead and, you know, hop on very first thing, do your Beast Tribes first. You know, then do all the other stuff, wait for server reset, go back and do the Beast Tribes again so you're a day ahead. You need to be ready to do that. And Azim Step is going to be nuts. Just like when we get the new, you know, Heaven on High, Ruby C is going to be nuts. So definitely make sure that you guys are ready. You're all set. Have your client downloading while you're at work or whatever you need to do so that you can play as soon as you get home. And I look forward to diving into 4.3 with you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. This has been Chris with Work to Game. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, which part you're looking most forward to down and below, or if there's a section that you feel like glanced over it way too fast and you feel that there's some detail you want to share with everybody, go ahead and put that down in the comments below. I will absolutely read those, and I do appreciate the amount of feedback we get on videos like this. Thank you guys. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you in 4.3. You guys ever wondered what's behind me? Let's go ahead and take a look. There's some Warhammer and gaming stuff. There's some German beer steins. There's a rainbow ball shooting out of his face unicorn, some Star Wars toys, some different architecture projects, some Work to Game mugs, one with a chocobo on it, some Jeeps, and then my face, and then the first skyscraper I worked on in my first job out of college. So, yeah.